Welcome back, everyone. I'll go ahead and kind of break down the whole entire UI of the Xbox Series X and the Series S. So the UI is pretty much the same on both, and you may hear my controller clicking in the background. That just means I'm going through the whole entire UI. So just a quick heads up, this UI is pretty much almost exactly the same as the One S, One X, and all those other consoles too, but there may be some changes in the future, who knows. But pretty much, if you've used those consoles, the same exact thing is going on here too. So if you have your controller in front of you, basically that home button, which is that white glowing Xbox little logo that's on the front of the controller, is basically called the guide on your console. So if I go ahead and click it, you can see this little pop-up comes up, and this shows you pretty much every single thing that you can do on your console for the most part. If you're in the middle of a game, if you're whatever, you can always access this, and this is pretty customizable too. So the very first thing is going home. You have My Games and Apps, so this will just take you to your games and apps, which we'll get into in a second. It'll go ahead and tell you that whatever this is, it can go ahead and take you to your settings, your Xbox, whatever, and these are pretty much just some recent things that you've been through. So if you recently used some apps, you can go ahead and modify these too. Now if you click on the right and left toggles, you can basically go through and kind of go from basically up here to all the way down here. You can also go through the rest of these, so you can go to your people, you can go to your parties and chats, you can go to your achievements, you can go to capture and share, and this is basically how you screenshot, video chat, all that stuff. And then this is basically just personal information. So if we go back to the beginning and we go and click home, this will basically take us home every single time, no matter where we're at. So this is a huge asset for sure. Now, the very first little segment right here is pretty much just the main apps that you've used, pretty much the most recent apps that you used. So if you just use settings, it'll pretty much come up here. If you just played a game, it'll pretty much come up right here. Now, these are just your secondary apps that you used, and some other apps, if you just turned on your Xbox Series X or S, then it'll pretty much be some stock apps. I did just install Fortnite, so that's why that's there. And you have a bunch of these things too. So you have the Microsoft Store, which is the app you're pretty much going to be using if you're going to be downloading a bunch of different things. And kind of going through, you'll pretty much see a reoccurring trend. So right down here is pretty much what they call Spotlight, or some other people call it a Spotlight. And this is just some news in the community, if a new game came out or some whatever. This is pretty much what this is for, these three things. But this is your games and apps. So if you go and click on here, it'll go ahead and break down all the games and apps that you have. So apps right here, you can install more, you can go do whatever through the Microsoft Store. But right here, you can basically see all the games you have. So if you have a ton of games, all those games will come up right here, which is really cool. So you can go and click B on your controller from an app, and it'll go ahead and take you back home. Now the next segment is called Store. I'm going to show you something and share with you something that is very important if you're new to Xbox, if you're new to Microsoft. Pretty much the main app is always on the left, the first icon. So as you can see, Store, the rightmost parts of the whole entire thing. So basically like the 1/4 of what the screen is right here. This is the store. This is the icon that you can click on to get into the actual app. But to the right is basically news and different things that are coming up. This is basically just like, if you want to, quick toggle basically to new games or whatever without having to open the app and then go there, you can just, hotkey it over there. But this is basically news. And if we go back up, this is pretty much the same thing we had here for this specific toggle. We can go back down again, app here, news here. Now if we scroll down again to get into Game Pass, it's the exact same thing. You have the app here, you can click on the app, go straight here, but this is basically just the news within that app. So you have a bunch of these different things, you can read more about it, you can go and click on whatever. And the Xbox Game Pass, if you have that, you can go and modify it here. The next one is entertainment, Netflix, YouTube, all that stuff you can basically go through with this specific app, which is really cool. And again, you can open it and go through that app again. Events, I don't really go on here too often. I don't know if people do, but again, news here, different things like that. The app itself here. Community, if you have a bunch of friends on Xbox, if you have a bunch of that stuff, you can go and modify it through here, set up parties and all that crazy stuff here. The next one is suggested apps. So apps that if you just downloaded or whatever, you can go ahead and use them here. And usually if you just installed and use your Xbox, and usually if you just booted up your Xbox for the first time, then you'll basically have a bunch of these different apps here, which is really, really awesome. And at the very bottom is the ability of, adding more if you want the Xbox Live Gold, if you have the Xbox Game Pass. Pretty much you'll have a bunch of this stuff here and just a little bit more information at the bottom. So that's really a breakdown of everything. Typically the thing that helped me the most is knowing that to the left is where the icon is, and this is basically just news and updates on that specific app. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to customize a little bit of your console as well. So you can always click on home right here on the guide. I didn't click it right. There we go. And you can always access a bunch of different things on the, go if you're in the middle of an app. You can typically just use this to kind of go through and, modify a lot of stuff. But if you want to modify a little bit more, we can go into our settings, and there's a lot of different functionality here. So you can always go through the network settings and all these different things within personalization, all that good stuff. You can always go to account as well and modify a bunch of these things too. But I feel like the most important thing that a lot of people are going to like right now is within the first option, which is general, and then we hit personalization. So once we come here, you can go and see a ton of different options, not a ton, but a couple of them. You can see whatever that is. You can see profile, my color and background, theme and motion, and then my home Xbox. Now, if we click on the first one or the third one, my color and background, you can click on here and change a lot of what you want on the Xbox. So if you want this to be, my Xbox, if you want to change a color, we can go and change it. We can go and add this one, click OK, and now that color has changed to that one, which is really cool. You can also change the tiles if you want them more solid to transparent. I kind of like them solid. And then on the right side, you can change your achievement art, your custom image up top, which I've seen a lot of people ask me how to do. That's basically how you do it. You click here, change your image, your screenshots. So if you click on here, you can go and see all your screenshots. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any because I just booted this console up. But if you took a lot of screenshots in game and stuff, this is basically where those screenshots go. We can go and click B, and pretty much if you're ever within anything, you can click B, and then your custom images and all that good stuff. Now, if we go and click B once more, you can see that we have theme and motion. So if we go and click here, you can change the system theme to dark, to light, or to scheduled. So light mode is pretty much this. If you want it to be brighter and all that, some people may prefer it. I kind of like dark mode. It's a little bit easier on the eyes, so you can change it here. Now motion, if you like the smoother motions, you can go and enable it. If you like more of the choppy thing, which I don't know who would want it, you can go and turn it off. I personally like the smoother motions personally. Now, the very last option is my home Xbox, and this is something I don't really tell a lot of people to modify with, so I usually leave it as that. Now, if we go back home, we can go and click B a couple times, and you can see we made it back to our home screen. What I always tell people to do is, modify their home screen if they want to. So if you look at the bottom right, it tells us that we can go and customize our home screen if we go and click that button. So what we can do is go and click that customize button, and you'll see a bunch of different options. So again, click that customize button that's on the new Series X controller, even on the older ones, on the 1S and 1X is there too. And you can go ahead and modify a bunch of different things. So if you want to add a specific, thing to the home screen, you can go and click here. And let's say I wanted a whole tab just for Fortnite. Well, I can go and click here, add this, and I'll go ahead and add it to my home screen. So if I go back to the home screen, you will see I have a whole Fortnite section, which is cool if you're into it. Now, clicking our customize icon again, we can also delete this. So if we go and click on the X button, it'll go ahead and delete that from our screen. And probably will take a second. But if we go and click A, we can go ahead and move it somewhere else, and then we can go and remove it. It's still not removing, which I don't know why. Let's go and try removing this. So none of the options are removing. I find that very weird. I guess it's whatever though. But that's typically how you would do it. Maybe I have to update it or something like that. But you can go and modify a ton of different things within here, which is really cool. And again, you have quick toggles to go back to theme and motion. You can go to my color and background, customize the guide. And this is another thing. Remember the guide? It was this little option if you click the home screen. You can also modify this. So by clicking on the customize the guide, you can go ahead and change up exactly where you wanted this. If you want people to go first, you can go and modify it here. But typically the home button, aka that guide, is the most important part. And you can go in a little bit further with profile and system, which we went to in this, pretty much already. And that's really pretty much the main things. If you kind of understand this, then you're pretty much good to go. Again, all your games and apps will pretty much be here. So this is probably one of the main important things you're going to be interacting with, as well as this top bar. These are where basically your main used apps are. But again, you can always go through and kind of go through your whole entire setup like this, which is really, really cool. So that's pretty much a quick little breakdown. Again, if you want a more thorough one, there's probably going to be 30 tutorials that are an hour long. But this will give you, I guess, the best kind of a look around and a brief walkthrough in a way. So that really pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that means so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count. So it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.